MyAnimeList is a site with quite the history behind it. Set up in 2000 and who cares, it has since become one of the key pillars of the Western anime community, whether we like it or not. If you wonder how it works, it's effectively one part dick measuring contest, as anime fans use it to show how many shows they're watching and why all of them but their favourites are about a 6 out of 10, and on the other hand, it's one part Reddit, because the mods are humorless dickheads. For those who don't know, there have been several instances of ratings of shows being bombarded with 10 out of 10s, boosting them up to the top of the rankings because of a little weaponised memery. It happened in 2020 with interspecies reviewers because people were angry over Funimation cancelling the series. It had also happened earlier in 2017 with Pingu and the City because people were absolutely bang on the money. That show is a masterpiece. But these were both happening as each respective show was airing, and it's basically impossible for a show to reach the top of the rankings within mere days of being released. Or is it? Insert shitty Vsauce joke here. I first became acquainted with MAL in 2017, and the first instance I saw of a new anime airing and then reaching a high ranking was both My Hero Academia Season 2 and Made in Abyss, each of them just scraping into around the top 30s at time of airing. And this was the peak seen throughout the next few months. I remember that Devilman Crybaby and Violet Evergarden did fairly well for themselves in the rankings when they came out, and things were slightly disrupted with Season 2 of March Comes In Like a Lion getting into the top 10. I still haven't watched the second season of March Comes In Like a Lion. What the fuck am I doing with my life? While an impressive score, it's not a completely unreasonable one. The first season had made it into the top 30 only the last year, and sequels often do well on MAL. Now, there are obvious exceptions, but if a show's sequel is just about the same quality as the first one, then the people who liked it before will like it, and the people who dropped it after the first season wouldn't have watched it anyway, and so won't be lowering the average score. Now, I bring up sequels because things were massively disrupted in the middle of 2019. Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2 sent shockwaves through MAL when it rocketed up to the top 5 within weeks of it airing. Now, even the top 10 at the time was reserved only for shows that had been going for several series worth, but also ones whose previous seasons had been consistently scoring high as well. This is why the top 10 was stuffed to the gills with Gintamas, March Comes In Like a Lion, and the later parts of Monogatari. I still haven't watched the later parts of the Monogatari series. What the fuck am I doing with my life? Attack on Titan's earlier seasons had done fairly well for themselves, but they'd never breached the inner sanctums of the top 50. And yet, here it was, having rocketed up all the way to the top 5. Now, between then and now, you'll see that on average, a new show enters the top 20 every season. At the moment, even Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, the reigning champion at the top of the list, has been deposed and replaced with Kaguya-sama Season 3. And that was the same season that the Spy X Family made it into the top 10. And this trend of newer shows getting higher scores is, ironically, nothing new. Indeed, when I started using is the wrong word. When I started vaguely glancing over at MyAnimeList, this had been happening for quite some time. Now, I watched a video made in 2018 which showed the history of shows with over an 8.2 ranking on MyAnimeList. Now, it starts out jumping several years the time between shows that have achieved this rating. But, as it goes on, you'll see shows coming thicker and faster. In the charts they show at the end, you'll see way more modern shows achieve these ratings than older ones. Now, chance aside, I'm not going to fool you into thinking I did research for this video. These things I'm going to talk about are speculations above all else, and I'm not going to tell you there's some algorithm at work or that people have either superior or shit tastes. But here's a few reasons I think that scores might be getting inflated for recent anime. So the first thing to consider is that maybe shows actually are getting better nowadays. Indeed, it isn't just any show that gets into the top 100, these are shows that have reason to be up there. This is proven by the abundance of conclusions in the top 20. Violet Evergarden, Gintama, and Fruit Basket all have their conclusions in there, and this may prove that it is just down to story, as while there is that sequel factor I mentioned earlier, certainly Violet Evergarden, and from what I've been told, also Gintama and Fruit Basket, all stuck the landing fantastically, so will naturally be accoladed. A lot of the money going around the industry means that shows look the best they ever have. More often than not, you're going to find something that looks stunning with remarkable frequency nowadays. But then again, Akira looks stunning, and indeed it's popularly recognised as an amazing piece of cinema, not just an amazing piece of anime, and that hasn't even cracked the top 300. Well, Akira came out 30 years ago, and reputation and Netflix access will only make you so relevant. More people than ever are watching anime, and they're mainly watching what's new. Indeed, there might have been the same number of titles worthy of higher scores back then as there is now, but only now do we have the amount of English-speaking people who are watching them to be able to shower these scores upon them, but it isn't accessibility that I think clinches it. What I think the real reason is, and one that's explainable with examples, is this third factor, seasonal hype. As someone who watches anime season by season, I still haven't watched any shows this season, what the fuck am I doing with my life? I've noticed that some things will be hyped up like The Second Coming. Even if these shows aren't actually the Messiah, they're a very naughty boy. Spy X Family was one that I like, and many others liked. In fact, they liked it so much it ended up getting to the top 5 on MAL, but since then, it's been falling. Last I checked, it was a lot like Horseshoe Marine, in that it's barely holding on to the 20s. And it's also a reason that some shows have stayed with much higher scores because people ranked them high when first watching them, and then just forgot to assign a new rank as hype died down. But I've got a bottom line for this video. Stop giving a fuck about MAL scores. This isn't me trying to say that I prefer AniList. I use neither AniList nor MAL. But instead it's me trying to say that these scores, while a good general indicator, are not the be-all or end-all of anime. Now, they say you should never watch an anime with an MAL score below 6, and I have an example why you should ignore these supposedly hallowed rules. Dallos. Dallos is a series from the 1980s, which launched many careers, and is about a battle against terribly written plot twists. Oh wait, that's Dallas. Dallos is a series from the 1980s, which launched many careers, and is about a battle between moon colonists and the Central Earth Federation. This show is currently only at a 5.98 on MyAnimeList, and I doubt it's going to rise anytime soon, but contrary to the nothing below 6 rule, this is fantastic. While the characters are basic, there's palpable drama and actual motivation, leading to some fantastic imagery, and the animation, despite it being 1983, is far from basic. It actually gets into the motivations behind each movement, with parallels being able to be made with moments in real history, but not in ways that take away from the story this is trying to tell.
Alright, but apart from the sanitation, the medicine, education, wine, public order, irrigation, roads, a fresh water system and public health, what has
The Central Earth Federation
ever done for us?
And as this was the first official OVA, dating back to 1983, it's not going to be one that's going to be hitting any kind of seasonal hype radar, but it's still worth a watch. Finding a new anime to watch is all about discovery instead of trends, and so if you're looking for something to watch on MAL, don't look at that number, look at the description. Don't go off what everyone else has already enjoyed, go off what you might enjoy. But it has been a lot of fun delving into MyAnimeList and this ongoing score inflation. Indeed, I first heard about it from the apparent increase in scores that's been going on with the Pokemon movies. I've heard that apparently there's some really good graphs pointing this out, and so I've been told I can find them by searching Pokemon inflation into Google Images. What the fuck is that?